4 years ago, I applied to two PhD programs at Imperial College London, and I got into both. In this video, I'm going to explain why I decided to apply to two programs simultaneously and how was the application process to get in. If you're new here, hello. My name is Maria. I've just finished my PhD in applied mathematics at the University of Cambridge, and I'm using this YouTube channel to share my journey in academia and hopefully help you along the way in your journey by giving you tips and sharing my experience. So, for some context that will explain why I decided to apply to two programs is that I I was a mathematics undergraduate and I was doing my master's in applied mathematics and theoretical physics, and I knew that I wanted to eventually transition into doing epidemic modeling, which obviously uses a lot of mathematics, and it can be considered to be a part of mathematical biology, which itself is like an area of mathematics, but it's something that epidemic modeling we don't really learn a lot in undergrad. Like there's maybe one or two lectures as part of the mathematical biology course, but that's it. And in my master's, especially, I wasn't doing any of that. I was doing theoretical physics, which was very different just because I didn't really have the option or the courses to do so. And so my strategy for PhD applications was that I first wanted something like my priority would be doing epidemic modeling already in my PhD, but I also wanted a backup option in case I didn't get into any epidemic modeling PhD programs that would allow me to transition into doing epidemic modeling in the future after my PhD if that was still what I wanted to do. And so this transition would be like just doing mathematical biology in another area, perhaps more theoretical, perhaps more similar to slightly more similar to the theoretical physics courses that I was learning in terms of style, and and that is the reason why I wanted to send both applications. And yeah, this the second one that was for mathematical biology, I said was my backup option for the other PhD programs that I applied in other universities. And you will have seen, or you can look at my videos that I did about how I got into Oxford and how I got into Cambridge. Those were already targeting epidemic modeling. I explicitly mentioned the researchers that I wanted to do epidemic modeling with. So for Imperial, for the mathematical biology, it was it was this backup option, and it was a really good option because I saw it advertised as a specific project in as part of the mathematics department, and it was about modeling biological tissues as complex systems, or social systems, something like that. And I thought it was something where I could use my my technical skills, but that might also allow me to learn a lot about biology that I might end up using in the future um, if I wanted to do epidemic modeling after that. But obviously, this was not epidemic modeling, and this was part of the Faculty of Maths. So now here comes the complication. It would have been very weird if I had sent another application, like probably impossible, um, also to do epidemic modeling in the maths department, because then they would be like, well, what are you doing? But the advantage that I had at Imperial is that the epidemic modeling program that I was interested in was part of a program in the public health department, where if I got in, my hope was to do epidemic modeling with the epidemiologists that are more mathematically inclined. And so specifically on this application, I would mention that I wanted to work with certain professor that was doing epidemiology, which was the specific area that I was interested in doing. And so they were completely separate applications with, I had to do them from scratch, even different curriculum vitae, like different CV, because you want to target it to the program that you're applying to. So, for example, for the Math Bio program, I I listed all the courses that I had taken and how they were relevant for the research that I would be doing there, but that didn't make a lot of sense for the public health program because most of those courses, realistically, I would be very, um, I wouldn't really use them. So that's how I was able to send two applications. It was a lot more work, and of course, my referees, I had to ask them to send separate application letters to both programs, and I explained them to them why I was, applying twice the same university. But I think they understood the rationale of what I was doing. And for one of them, for the math bio program, because it was a pretty specified project, I just had an interview already with the researchers. That it was two co-supervisors that would co-supervise that project, and we were able to talk a lot about it in detail. Whereas for the public health program, it was more like a program, not like a doctoral training program, but kind of similar, where maybe in the first year you kind of switch around research projects with different researchers, and then eventually after the first year, you end up specializing in doing research where with the person that eventually becomes your supervisor, as we say in the UK, would be advisor in the US. And so for this other program, I also had an interview, but it was much different interview in the sense that there was like a panel with different people involved in the program, but crucially not the person that I wanted to work with. But for them, I just had to explain why my math background was going to be helpful, and the research that I had done that especially was important because I was doing like a bigger transition gap. So, eventually I got into both programs, and I had to turn down the offer, well, with both of them, but it was especially hard to do so for the math bio offer because the professors that wanted to supervise that project had been very kind to me, and had specifically chosen me to do the project with them. But as I said, that was my backup option. And for the other program, the public health program, well, eventually I also had offers from Cambridge and Imperial, and I ended up preferring the offer that I had from Cambridge. Just academically, it was a slightly better fit for my skills because it wouldn't be on, well, not just because of the supervisor, but also like I would be in the maths department doing epidemic modeling, which for me at that point was the best of both worlds. And indeed, that's how it's been in my PhD. So this might be a bit of a strange video, but that's basically how it was. If you have any questions about like timelines or how to explain it to referees, do let me know. I'm happy to help with anything as with my other videos. But I think this is going to wrap up all the series of videos that I've done on PhD applications, because this is like everything I did. I said like two programs that I didn't get into because I honestly wasn't a good fit for those. Um, so I think I'm gonna wrap up with that. Uh, well, the video and the series of videos on PhD applications. But if you're curious about how it's been my PhD experience at Cambridge, then I can definitely make a lot of videos about it and advice about doing a PhD or whether to do or not to do a PhD. Do let me know in the comments. And if you are an undergrad that subscribed to my channel a while ago, like I hope I will have some videos that are more relevant to you. If you're not thinking about PhD applications yet, let me know in the comments what you'd like to see, because I do have ideas for that as well. But this is everything for now. Thank you for watching.